About 45 years ago, on Thanksgiving weekend, I was at Cannon Beach in Oregon with my then wife, Peggy, and my 6-month-old daughter, Mary Jean. And it was about 11, 12 o'clock at night, and Peggy was asleep because she was tired, and I was just holding my 6-month-old daughter in my arms. And I turned on the TV, and the Muppet movie just started. I heard that song. I was not that spiritual then. I was not into Unity or anything, but hearing that song, it took me to heaven. Just there with a 6-month-old daughter, quiet. In fact, I found so many times that was my favorite time with her, giving her 2 o'clock feeding, me alone, just being there. And it was heaven. And as you know, my talk today is called Finding Heaven. There's a story about a samurai who went to a holy man. And the samurai said to the holy man, "Teach me about heaven and hell." And the samurai looked at him and went, "Teach you about heaven and hell? Your robe is dirty and it's stained. Your sword is rusty. You're fat like a pig. And you stink. I have more luck teaching a monkey." And the monk spun around and began to walk away. And the samurai became enraged, and screamed and pulled out a sword and went to hit the holy man. And the holy man spun around and said, "That's hell." And the samurai was stunned that he almost killed the man out of his insanity. And he dropped the sword, dropped to his knees, began to cry and weep. And the holy man knelt down next to him and put the samurai's head in his hand, his head in his lap. And he said, "And this is heaven." I'm not talking about finding some bliss. Today's talk is about finding heaven moment by moment. I've been able to find heaven in pain, in anguish. I've been able to find heaven even in hate. It's only us who keep it away. Last week was Easter. And in the church that I was raised in, we loved guilt. And we loved the week before Easter because it was, all the stuff that Christ is going through. Now he's doing this. This is the Last Supper. This is the last burrito. Or whatever was going on. And the whole thing that Jesus died on the cross, because tomorrow I'm probably going to lie to my mom, didn't make no sense to me. It didn't. And I didn't like the guilt. It didn't make sense to me. He died for me. I was told on Friday, Good Friday, we had the day off. Us kids had the day off, and we were told between the hours of 12 and 3, do not laugh. Do not have fun, because Jesus is hanging on the cross for you and bleeding for you. And what have you done for him? This is what I was told. Well, and it was fine. It's what I was brought up in, but it just didn't ring true with me. Any of you? So anyway, one Wednesday evening, years later in Seattle, a friend took me to Unity. And I was sitting there and I heard the meditation. And I went, I'm home. This is what makes sense. And being introduced to Unity, I kind of got introduced to a text called The Course in Miracles. In Unity, I love what Unity says. Jesus was not the great exception. He's the great example. And he says in A Course in Miracles, I am not the Son of God. I am a Son of God. Because we are all sons and daughters of God. This is what he was trying to teach. He even says, when I read chapter 6 of A Course in Miracles, when he explains the crucifixion, it finally made sense to me. He says it was the last useless journey anyone ever has to do. All I wanted to do was to show you, you can definitely kill my body, but you can't kill who I am. You can't kill the Spirit. This is what, and he said, and then he said, watch what we did. And he went, I got to come back and do the Course in Miracles 2,000 years later to tell him what I was trying to do. Because it wasn't about sacrifice. It was about life. So here's a couple quotes from the Course. Heaven is not a place or a condition. It is merely an awareness of perfect oneness and the knowledge that there is nothing else. Nothing outside the oneness and nothing else within. I especially like this quote. It is hard to understand what the kingdom of heaven is within you really means. This is because it is not understandable to the ego, which interprets it as if something outside is inside. The word within is unnecessary. Get this. The kingdom of heaven is you. What else but you did the Creator create? And what else but you is his kingdom? Finding heaven? The kingdom of heaven is where? It's us. Every moment. We always have the opportunity. One of my favorite movies is Field of Dreams. If you haven't seen, who hasn't seen the movie? Oh, God, see the movie. Anyway, Field of Dreams, about baseball. Yeah. But throughout the movie, the baseball players who were coming back, the ghosts, periodically, it's kind of a running theme. And they asked Kevin Costner, hey, is this heaven? And Kevin goes, no, it's Iowa. And at the end of the movie, when he sees what all this was for, and the baseball player turns to him and says, is this heaven? And Kevin says, no, it's Iowa. And the baseball player says, I could have sworn it was heaven. And then Kevin looks around, the sun is setting in an Iowa cornfield. The stars are coming out. He looks at his house and sees his daughter and wife laughing and giggling on the porch. And he goes, maybe this is heaven. Maybe this is heaven. A famous author was driving through the countryside one time, and he said he saw this man sitting on a kitchen chair hoeing his garden. He thought, God, what a lazy lout that guy is. Jeez. Sitting on a kitchen chair, and what a lazy bum. And then he turned the corner and saw the man's crutches, and so he had one leg. And that man went from being this lazy layabout to a courageous person who's doing whatever he needs to do to get through life. How many of us, me included, have judged somebody and never saw the crutches? I want you to know, every lawmaker in this country has crutches. The Pope has crutches. Everybody has crutches. We don't know the whole story. We never will. We don't have to. All we have to do is find our piece of heaven. Know that I may not know what your crutch is. I may not understand why you're doing what you're doing. I may not agree with it. You may even make me enraged. But if you're making me enraged, I must have a crutch. And all I can do, the best I can, is find how to love myself in the moment. So this is why you hear from me all the time. Bless everyone. No exceptions. No exceptions. So I'm going to give you 23 points of how to find heaven. No, not 23. You'll never last. It'll be 90 minutes from now. I'm going to give you 2 points. The first one, in my opinion, I may be wrong, but the first one, in my opinion, is you have to love yourself no matter what. Because you can't love anybody else until you love and accept yourself. I don't know if you realize this, but the body that you have, you're stuck with it. You're stuck with it. And no one's getting out of here alive. You know, you're stuck with it. I don't care if you're healthy, if you're sick, if you're fat, if you're thin, if you're ugly, if you're beautiful, short or tall. You have to find a way to love yourself exactly where you are right now. Not tomorrow. Right now. For example, who here has a weight problem? Raise your hand. Come on, I can see you guys. Raise your hand. I know, I'm just like you. I hate to wait. I just hate to wait. I don't like lines, you know. And that laughter is your key to loving yourself. Jesus says the ego doesn't know how to handle laughter. I mean, that laughter. So you were thinking of something else when I said that? Weird. So you're willing to do a little experiment? If you can't, stand up. If you don't have to stand up, but if you can't, stand up. Close your eyes. And put your hand on your heart. And just tap your feet. Kind of get grounded. And then tap your heart. And say, I love myself. I love myself exactly as I am. I love myself here and now. Right. Now, just for a little extra credit, imagine whatever challenge you're going through. Maybe it's a disease. Maybe it's finances, whatever it is. And just say, I now accept what I have brought into my world. I now accept what I have brought into my world. I love myself right now. Great. Open your eyes and sit down. A Course in Miracles says, the holiest spot on earth is where an ancient hatred has become a present love. The holiest spot on earth is where an ancient hatred, our hatred for ourselves, has become a present love. Right now, for a moment, you love yourself. Because this is an ancient hatred. I think that's the hardest person I had to work with all my life is me. My shortcomings. You know, many years ago, I was teaching classes, spiritual classes and holy classes, teaching A Course in Miracles and all that stuff. And one day I totaled my car. I made a wrong turn, got smashed, totaled my car. And I called my friend Phil, who's this, I don't know if he's Swedish or Norwegian, but he's a bear of a man, white hair, got a beard, he's a bear of a man. And I called him and said, I totaled my car. What kind of teacher am I if I like this? And he goes, you want me to come over? I go, yeah. So he comes over, and he's this bear of a guy. He just grabs me and just puts me in his chest. And I'm sobbing. I go, what kind of spiritual teacher am I if I total my car? I wrecked things. And Phil said, would you like some support? I go, yeah. And he goes, this is when I was married to Stav. He goes, tonight, you and Stav go out for a steak dinner with wine and candles, and especially get a dessert and celebrate totaling the car. It's going to drive your ego nuts. Because the ego is going to want to say, what a dope I am. Go out and celebrate it. Celebrate life. Celebrate that you could even lose a car. And we did it. It was wonderful. We just laughed and began to go, yeah. Normally, it would be months before we get out of something like that. So that was point one. Love yourself right where you are. And the second point, love like God loves. Love like God loves. Of Course in Miracles talks about two concepts of how we relate to the world. Projection versus extension. With projection is what the ego uses. When the ego is in hate and blame, it uses a projection because the ego looks inside and says, what do I hate about myself? And I don't want to feel that. I got to get rid of this, so I'll project it on you. I don't like being fat, but if you look at other fat people, I could be looking at all the fat people out there and I don't have to think about my own fatness. This is what the ego does, or my guilt, or what I've done. All these people who are bad and guilty, and not even look at my own stuff. Everyone take a breath here. I'm going, geez, yeah. Because this is what the ego does. And the problem is that when you look out there and you see all those fat, guilty, stupid people, what does it remind you of unconsciously? That you are fat, guilty, stupid. I mean, this is how the ego thinks you can get rid of it by throwing it off. But ultimately, when you see it out there, it comes back to you. And the ego also does this even with love. With love, the ego looks inside and says, what am I lacking? Oh, I don't know how to play music. Oh, here's someone who plays music. I love you. Or I'm not brave. Here's someone who's brave. I love you. And I love you for the qualities that I don't have. This is the love that I've known for many years. Love somebody else for what I was not. There was a problem with that. Because every time, after a while, I began to resent you for having what I do not have. And now, why are you always playing the guitar? Do you hear what? This is what happens. The very thing that I fell in love with becomes the thing that I began to not like you for. And then I get into ego, blame, guilt, and then we get a divorce, and I get to play the game all over again with somebody else. That's projection. This is how most of us, all of us, me included, lived our lives when we're in our ego. Now God did not create us out of projection. God extended itself. God extended itself and made the universe bigger. When you love like God, you see the love within you, and all you want to do is extend it to another person. Extend it. With words or gifts, but most importantly, with the heart, with the spirit. Patty and I had an experience of this one time. We went to see a play, and we were coming home. We said, hey, let's get some nachos. It was like 10:30 at night. And went to this little taqueria, and we walked in, and there were these two drunks who were just rage-filled at the staff for messing up an order. They were yelling at them, and normally we were kind of like, let's get out of here. But we stayed. And Patty and I do a form of meditation, which you can do open eye, closed eye, doesn't matter, called ascension. And all it does is bringing the presence of God into our awareness. That's all. Bringing the presence of God here. And so we both began to do that automatically. I didn't know Patty was doing this. I started doing it. And our teacher, Kali, would tell us that the presence of God No one can withstand that. And it was interesting because these drunks started quieting down, and they started like, hey, I don't know. I had the feeling that one of them was getting mad because he felt like he wanted to hug the cashier. I don't want to hug you now, but all we did was bring God into that room, and it calmed it down. Some of you have heard where they've done meditations around Washington, D.C. for like 2 weeks, a whole bunch of people, and the crime rate goes down. We make a difference. And all we have to do is just extend the God that we are to the God that is in that person, to the God in that person who is lying, or to the God in that person who is cheating. They may not change, or they may. It may be 5 years, and one day they'll go, oh, wait, I could change my mind here. So how do you get to Carnegie Hall? Practice, practice, practice. How do you get to heaven? Practice, practice, practice. Teilhard de Chardin said, the day will come when after harnessing the winds, the tides, and gravitation, we shall harness for God the energies of love. And on that day, for the second time in the history of the world, man will have discovered fire. So I'm going to just close one last story. There was an old Jewish rabbi who was very holy and loved. Everyone loved him. And every night he would go deep into the forest and pray and commune with God. And the people of his congregation were convinced that he literally would go up to heaven. And so one day the cantor, the singer of the synagogue, followed the rabbi into the forest. And he followed as the rabbi walked deep into the forest and ended up in the shack of a poor, sick Gentile woman. And he watched as the rabbi swept and cleaned the house, made dinner, and fed it to her. And then quietly walked home to his little house next to the synagogue. And the next day, the people asked the cantor, so did our rabbi really go up into heaven? And the cantor said, no, he went much higher. Go much higher. Let your hearts soar. Go much higher. Bless you all. Bless this church. Bless you, God. Namaste.